Hello and welcome to the Cabalvision HD Bico League show brought to you by Bloodwiser. I'm your host Jim, and I'm joined as always by my fellow co-hosts. First, the second fastest big guy in Blood Bowl, Leslie Flowers. How the devil are you?
Not too bad, Jim. Not too bad.
Glad to hear. And also joining me, an old veteran commentator who's seen many a Raw, Mr. Skulls. How are you doing?
I'm doing quite well, Jim. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you. Alright, well, first, let us explain Bico League. So, it's a round robin tournament with 10 of the best coaches out there. Each coach plays 9 games, and at the end, the rankings determine seeding for the illustrious Crown tournament. Now, last season, Coach SHG won with Good Kids in a Mad City the league championship, but the illustrious crown went to Coach Maurice with Cirque de Cabalvision. However, we are now entering our second season, so let's move on to discuss the teams. First, we're going to be starting with a new coach, Fox, with the Parkour Pros. Now, Fox proclaims himself to be the parkour god, sending the parkour pros to win the Beef Cup, he called it. I don't think he fully understands the league. Now, his team is made up of orcs, quite strong, bashy team, but he has no previous record. So they're a tier 2 team, which means they're about middle of the pack, and they're starting with quite a few rerolls, and they have a doctor on the side. Their roster is ladder jump, 3-block diagonal jump, fence jump, and trapdoor jump. All of those are black orcs. We have 360 jump, 3-block ice jump, and global housing crisis, and 4-block long jump as the blitzers. We have raw chicken as a goblin, snowball as a thrower, barrier block as a troll, and a lineman named backwards jump. That's his team going into the season. There's a lot of unknowns about this team. Does anyone have any information?
I will say, I've seen that one Black Orc ladder jump in some minor league games. I have to say he has potential. It's untested, but he could be a real star of the league.
I see. So, moving on to Coach Leo. He's back again with Pretonia and Bulging BBC 4. His lineup is Cockleaker, Schnitzel Jr., Ace Hall, and Daniel is the lineman. The coolest Daniel, Bob Smiley Face, Touchdown Machine 4000, and Ahmed Al Kaboom 911 as the blitzers. Mickey Noose, Jizz back once more, Renault Twingo, and Macron Explosion are the blockers. Now, Leslie, you were watching Bulging BBC 4's practices. What did you see?
I'll be honest, Jim. I've seen much the same that we've seen from Leo for, again, 4 seasons. The fact Pretonia believes in him, I think, says a lot, and this might be the year. Well, not the year, but the season.
Really?
This might be the season.
So Bulging BBC 4 fans have a lot to look forward to. Do you think he'll be able to secure his first win this season?
It's definitely on the cards.
Alright. Now, moving on to Manlets, with the British Museum Mowi's finally getting off the Goblin train and moving to Underworld Denizens. His team is Butcher Pete as a Warpstone Troll, Higurashi Twa and Blitz on that Fang are Skaven Blitzers, Bico Clash Contestant and McLovin (play tutorial) are his Skaven Throwers, Confident Travis and Disciple the Rat Virus are his Skaven Linemen, and then Yakubian Technology, Patmos Strongest Soldier, Goblino Miko, What the Hell Oh My God, Tunak Enjoy His Son, Kevin Jr., and Library Workout are his Underworld Goblins. Now, I myself was investigating the British Museum Mowi's. I was very intrigued as Coach Manlet is known for playing for coaching goblins. And introducing Skaven is going to be very different for him. He doesn't have the best previous record. Now, in my conversations with him, he described as being mind broken by constantly playing goblins. I think he really wants to win, get some good games down, and we can hope now. Underworld Denizens are a low-ranked team at the start of the season, so he's got quite a few veteran players. He's also got coach assistant and 4 hall rerolls. So let's hope he can do something with that. Now, one final thing about the Underworld Denizens is they have access to mutations as standard level ups. So we're going to be seeing a lot of crazy things. Apparently, he's already got tentacles on a Warpstone Troll, and there's a goblin with 2 heads. It's absolutely crazy. Now, moving on, Coach Sleepy is coming in, now taking over Shuriman University, which is an ogre team. His roster is Gifted Child, Noxian Shuffler, Tony Hawk Tour, College Dropout, Gambling Addict, and Johnny Guitar is the ogres. Adopted TNT Child, J-Hope, Mozzarella Smuggler, Ortisten Olento, Antifa Army Member, Big Fat Juicy MF, Snoop Pingas Gain, Car Driver, and Meek Rahat are his Noblars. Mr. Skulls, do you have any insight on Shuriman University for us?
I have to say, Coach Sleepy is an intriguing one. He's decided to come into this league with ogres again, from the top of the game with Paw Patrol, with his necromantic team. It was a crazy decision for him to go with ogres. Some less scrupulous publications would say that it's because he had a special relationship with one Shuriman Shuffler, rest in peace. Whether or not you believe that is true or just fuel for the smut writers out there is anyone's guess. But alas, now he has decided to go with ogres again. As we all know, ogres are fucking stupid. They are cretins, but they pack a strong punch. And with those 2 strong arms, we may see some strategic runt punting, as they say. Notable characters are Noxian Shuffler, perhaps the namesake of Shuriman Shuffler, and Tony Hawk.
These ogres have strange names, we know.
Yeah, my bad. I'm sorry, I'm just really racist against ogres. I find their names hilarious. And Tony Hawk 2, who has this strength and break tackle, perhaps some dodge gameplay, not something you see from ogres. Once again, ogres are a shit team, but as we all know, whenever one of these teams is playing the game, we're gonna see some action. We're gonna see some blood, be it the blood of their opponents or the blood of their own noblars on the field.
Great to see. Alright, now moving on. Coach Moonbear joins us again. This time taking 105.2 Hard Rock Cabal, which is a Chaos Dwarf team. Their roster is Radioactive, Bull Centaur, Teenage Dirtbag, Red Hot Chili Pepper Song About Cali, Mr. Brightside, Moves Like Jagger, Uprising, and Song 2 as the Chaos Dwarf blockers. And then Foghorn, All Rock All the Time, Ain't Your Granny Station, Clearest Phone Caller, and Elasticass in Chino Hill as the Hobgoblins. Now, Les, you were looking at 105.2 Hard Rock Cabal. What insights do you have for the show?
Yes, Spike Magazine actually followed his career quite closely, being one of the semi-finalists in the previous Bico League tournament. He had quite his choice of teams willing to sign up with him, many quite lucrative deals. However, he actually chose quite a meager sum for signing on with 105.2 Hard Rock Cabal, after the head of the Ministry of Communications wrote a letter, quite a simple letter that he's publicized quite openly, saying, fuck Dodge players.
True, true.
So true. All right. Moving on, Coach Maurice, the ex-crown champion. I shouldn't say ex, I mean previous crown champion. He still has it until someone else takes it. He has taken a human team, Natural Born Fowlers. It features Robbie the Ogre, Family Man, Shaven to the Bone, Nuffle, and Bald Gene as the blitzers, and General Macklemort as the thrower, LinkedIn Park as the catcher, and the dirtiest player, politician, video essayist, internet celebrity, and shot through the heart as the lineman. Now, Les, you were also looking at Natural Born Fowlers. And apparently you have something to tell us, some discoveries you made.
Yes, as well as with the previous one, the career of Maurice was followed quite closely as well. Having won the championship, very, very lucrative options. There was even considerations of staying with the previous team until Cirque de Cabalvision is currently stuck in a fierce legal battle, citing that their multiple broken shins as a result of playing Blood Bowl, which is absolutely not true. There has been no studies linking any sort of injury to playing in Blood Bowl.
I find that fascinating. It's these studies that we at Cabalvision thoroughly endorse.
Too right. However, the information as to how he ended up with Natural Born Fowlers is not clear, but we can assume there was great incentive.
Well, I hope a Spike Magazine investigation can shed more light on this at a later date. But for now, we have to move on to Idosian coaching My Anime Figures, an Amazonian team. Their roster is Oshino Shinobu is the thrower, Mayoi Hachikuchi is the catcher, Mika Jogasaki is the blitzer, Takane Shijo, Makoto Kikuchi, and Miki Hoshi as the other blitzers. And then Futaba Sakura, Tai Takemi, Doki-chan, An Takamaki, Yuiko Okuzumi, and Mitsuru Kirijo as the line women. Now, this team sort of... Oh, really, go ahead.
Really flexing those, that pronunciation, Jim, you fucking weeb.
I lived in the Amazon for some time, let me say.
Yeah, I bet you have, you fucking weeb.
There's some beautiful women out there. That's all I'll say. Now, this team sort of came out of nowhere. Coach Idosian was known for his preponderance for bashy teams, having an orc team last season. So he sort of went in the opposite direction here with a very low-armoured, dodge-based team. Now, where these players come from, they do have weird names. That is known. And apparently they have some weird worship and totems that will be smashed if their players ever die. So we gotta hope that doesn't happen. Now, Idosian had a very respectable record last season, but sadly didn't make it as far as he wanted in the Crown Cup, so he's going to be hoping to change that. Alright, now moving on to Dr. WTF taking the Baseless Accusations, a Dark Elf team. Now, the roster is Jeffrey Epstein, Harvey Weinstein, Puff Daddy, and Mike Tyson as the blitzers, Ghislaine Maxwell as a witch elf, Kevin Spacey and Bill Cosby are the runners, and Bill Clinton, Prince Andrew, Lavrenti Beria, and Roman Polanski are the linemen. Now, Mr. Scholes, you were looking at this team. What insights do you have for us?
Indeed, it seems like Coach Doc has shifted gears. As you've probably seen in Spike Magazine, there have been multiple serious allegations levied against Coach Doc from multiple players from his previous team, the Bad Touch. Now, nothing has been confirmed, and they're all pending investigations. But in the meantime, Doc has decided to ally himself with the Baseless Accusations, who are looking for a coach.
Well, I must admit, I can't see anything uniting all of these players. They just seem like a good bunch of people who want to play Blood Bowl, and we always accept that in Bico League.
Yep, I'm sure it's all a bunch of malarkey, because nothing bad ever happens in the Bico League.
Absolutely right. Now, let's move on to Coach Capri, who is now leading Cretan Community College, Lizardmen. Their roster is Moon and Star Neravarine, who's the Croxagore, Bloodvisor Stockbro, Cloaca Stiduez Major, Campus Communist, Blonde Blue-Eyed Saurian, Minority Quota Filler, and the Janny, or the Saurus, and Moron, Cretin's Protege, Local SPP Dealer, Grown Ass Man, and Birthing Pool Shooter are the Skinks. Now back to you, Mr. Skulls. You apparently have an intimate relationship with Coach Capri. What have you learned about Cretan Community College, and can you tell us why he returned to Lizardmen after so long away?
Indeed, I know Coach Capri quite well, and let me tell you, it was a real shock when I heard that he ran away with his tail between his legs back to that dumbass Cretin that he knows so well from his previous stint in the league. Now, we know that his run with the Norska Rampagers ended in a bit of a fumble. He didn't win the cup, didn't win the league by one touchdown, and then he failed to get into the finals. That put a damper on any of his future career prospects. The Norska Rampagers didn't want him. A lot of other teams were hesitant on him, and so he had to go back to what he knew, to Lizardmen, back in the hood, as they say. And now with this team of up and coming Lizardmen players, he is hoping to make it to the top, to regain what he thought he deserved in the previous season.
Well, definitely. He did get quite far in the Crown Cup, but perhaps a disappointing finish for him. So all of us here at Cabalvision hope that he can make it to the top. And the final team to round out our roundup is Coach SHG with the Twitch Gamers, a vampire team. Their roster is Northern Lion, Skyrim Sex Mods, Grok from X.com, and KSG number 4011 Drills Edition as the vampires. PS5 parentheses no games, Riot Freak, Did They Rename McCree, Kotaku Journalist, 7 out of 10 IGN Too Much Water, Pronouns in Video Games, Uplay Account, Asmongold's Chatter, and the Blood Pass are the Thralls. Now, before I get into, I have a very strong relationship with Coach SHG, but I was informed before the show that Leslie has something to say about the Twitch Gamers. So take it away.
Well, they kind of came out of nowhere. It was quite the anomaly. A lot of the buzz around SSG, obviously winning the league, he was very much sought after as a coach. There was huge rumors about him joining up with Tony Rat University, a Blood Bowl legend in his own right. Later became quite the philanthropist with his suspiciously obtained affluence. There was rumors of him joining for a speculative record-breaking 4.75 tons of Rockfoot cheese.
Indeed. Tony Rat, also notably a previous sponsor of this very podcast.
Indeed. Continue, please.
But no one knows why the contract was turned down at supposedly the last minute. But we find him here with the Twitch Gamers, and what can we say? It's quite the choice. We wish only the best for them.
So, in my verbal conversations with Coach SHG, they were off the record, but I'll do anything for our Cabalvision. listeners. So I'll peek behind the curtain a little bit. He's always had a proclivity for vampires. He finds them a exciting challenge to coach. Now, he did not tell me what the Twitch gamers offered him, other than unique experiences. But as we know with previous patrons like Tony Rat, there is a lot of money flowing around in Bico League. So time will only tell, and hopefully Spike Magazine's fantastic journalists can dig up some more information later on. Now it's time for us to recap the games of this past week, starting with the season opener, Maurice versus Moon, a thrilling 2-1 win to 105.2 Hard Rock Cabal. Now, Mr. Skulls, you were at this match. What insights can you show us?
I was indeed, and let me tell you, this opening match between two of the best coaches of the previous season was everything I expected. A real knuckle duster of a match. However, I must say that I am somewhat disappointed in the outcome of the game, more so the early decision by Coach Maurice to, as we have all seen, use that apothecary on that knockout, only to then have his ogre, get injured. And let me just say that ogre injury, that really is a contender for like the shitter of the week.
Wait, is this the first of the season? Mr. Skull, shitter of the week?
I'm really considering it. I think I have to give it to him. I think Robbie the Ogre has to get the Double Skulls Approved Shitter of the Week award, the first one on this podcast. That injury really put Maurice on a downturn. He lost all his pressure in the mid board. He couldn't defend. He couldn't keep a line going, and that just allowed Coach Moon to slowly but surely bleed him out of his resources. Another problem was that Coach Maurice must have expected with the Ogre and the two Mighty Blow level ups to do some real damage, and he didn't. The reality is that he just did not get the necessary stuns and KOs that he needed. This is also an unfortunate result of the draw, because I'm sure he was really hoping not to fight a team that is predominantly armor value 9 on the first game when he got two Mighty Blows, but alas, that is what happened.
So, maybe slightly unlucky for him. He'll be wanting to bounce back, but Coach Moon's got to be incredibly happy with that result, and how Robbie is basically a non-factor throughout all the match. That's what I'm hearing.
Yep. Coach Moon...
as I say, at the end of the day, we've all seen Maurice bounce back from a bad first game.
Do we know it.
This could still be in the bag for him.
Absolutely.
Indeed.
Absolutely.
But now this first game has set up Coach Moon nicely for a meteoric rise. He got that brutal level up on the Bull Centaur. Remind me what skill he got on it. I don't remember it off the top of my head.
It was a phenomenal level up from what I heard. He actually got a movement level.
Yes.
Yeah, yes, right. I remember now. He got that movement on the Bull Centaur, which is the main ball carrier for the Hard Rock Cabal. That is huge. And it's going to help him massively in his next few games.
Absolutely. The Bull Centaur's already good at running long distances and staying on his feet, and somehow picking up that extra bit of pace. He's going to be very frightful to face on the field. Now, I'd like to move on to Leslie Flowers. What can you tell us about Capri's 3-0 shellacking over Fox in his debut game?
Well, I mean, the numbers say it all. It was evidently a massacre on the scoreboard at the very least. Fortunately, no one was seriously injured.
That's always good to hear.
Yeah, especially, we've all, as we've established, Fork's very new to the league, to come across such a well-rounded veteran coach with a very potent team to start out with. Certainly not the introduction I would wish upon most people. But
Was there anything of, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but was there any talent that Coach Fox was showing in his coaching of the Parkour Pros, or do you think he still needs some time to get used to Bico League?
I think as far as skills go, we can see a level of adaptability. He is learning, and he is learning fast. It is entirely possible for him to turn around and become quite the potent coach, perhaps midway through the league. And
Sort of like a Coach Moon from last season.
Quite possibly, yes.
Would be a very good path to follow.
Indeed, and I have to say, even though it was a resounding defeat for the Parkour Pros, as far as washes go, there can definitely be worse. 3-0 is a respectable score. We have definitely seen worse in the Bico League.
Very true. Very true. Last season did have a few 5-0s, 4-1s. Quite a few high-scoring games, I think, with improved coaches and improved teams. Maybe more conservative scorelines to be expected. Any more insights before we move on?
I think that about sums up the game. I'm watching both of these coaches very carefully.
Great. Now, I have to say, this might be Jim's match of the week right now. The Coach Manlet's British Museum Moe Eyes against Leo's Bulging BBC4. Now, I was at this game, and lads, let me tell you,
What a game.
What a game.
What a game.
What a game. So, first of all, the quite surprising thing about this match, this was quite clean. Very few injuries. Very few knockdowns. A lot of just strong blood ball being played. Especially from both coaches in previous seasons. They were not really known for ball handling. Now, I was very impressed by Coach Leo at the start. He got an early touchdown and was able to hold it. Now, there was quite a few weather shifts in the second half. The rain started coming down. That made the ball quite slippery to pick up. But Coach Manlet was able to do it. But then, as in the fickle field of Blood Bowl, the snow came. And in the final few turns, the closing minutes of the match, Coach Leo sent his men forward to try and get past the Skaven line. They fell, and the Skaven were able to pick up the ball. And the drive that they were able to do in just a couple of minutes up the field was out of this world. Like, I really cannot overstate.
Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, because I was there at the game also, and those last two turns, the blizzard rolls in, the wind howls. There's not a peep from the audience. I bought that ticket to get in. Those tickets buy you the whole seat. I'm guaranteeing you, ladies and gentlemen, everybody was using just the edge of it. Everybody was on the edge of their seats. Perhaps the two best rounds of Blood Bowl ever played.
Absolutely. I mean, 2 turns left. It was tied 1-1. They're playing insane. Now, Skaven are able to get the ball, but he has to pick it up inside of a Bretonian. In their control zone, he's able to do it. But then he's got to dodge out. And then he's got to go for it. Absolutely booking. And he makes it, but then he's alone. He's afraid. He's by himself as 3 Bretonians are chasing him down. And he gets there, and then it's as if the celestial dice were rolled. The 2 skulls turn up. But they have block. You know, they're incredibly good at not going down. But the Skaven then blitzes through and goes through to the touchdown. Last play of the game. Absolute cinema. is what I would call this match. So if you haven't seen it, I strongly recommend go to your Cabalvision HD set, look up the replay and watch it, because my goodness, it's pure entertainment. But we have to move on. So back to Leslie, he was also watching Coach Sleepy against Dr. WTF, the first draw of the season, 1-1. What happened in this game?
What happened indeed? With a score like that and the teams playing, you do wonder how Ogre's able to draw against such a widely respected and feared team. The simple answer comes down to a brutal miscalculation on the part of Ghislaine Maxwell.
That's the witch elf for the baseless accusations, right?
That is correct. A very valuable, high commanding player. Very violent as well, and took the opportunity at the first possible moment to try and push an ogre outside the field.
That's risky, but she is frenzied, though. You know
that is why it was required to use Ghislaine Maxwell, no less. First phase went without a hitch, but a brutal miscalculation on how she was going to be supported in the second move led to a crushing defeat. Fans thought they saw her twitching after the assault. This was only nerves. She was dead before she hit the ground.
And this, let me jump in, is Jim's first Rip Bozo corner. Ghislaine Maxwell, the veteran witch elf, is the first true death of the season. There's been some injuries, but the doctors on the side have been able to take care of those to stop the crushing sense of mortality taking place. But nothing was there for Ghislaine Maxwell. Were the doctors present on the field?
Indeed, the only team who had 2 apothecaries ready, and she still died.
Well, back to Leslie.
Yeah.
Please continue.
I mean, that's basically all you need to know about the match. A crushing... The psychological factor alone of such a loss so early on in both the match and the league, we will be feeling the effects of that for time to come.
Absolutely. He got another injury as well, didn't he?
Another attempted murder, no less. The unsung Aubrey Drake Graham was legally dead for 35 seconds before being resuscitated on pitch side.
Hey, the doctors we have in Bico League are best in the world. They can't make everything better, but you wouldn't want your life in anybody else's hands, let me tell you that.
Yeah, but to say he will be recovering for time to come. We will see him later in the league, I'm sure. The fact I think the fact that he was able to tie up the game says a lot after such a crushing loss. Having a manpower disadvantage like that, or woman power disadvantage, is very brutal.
For sure, both teams will be looking to get their first win in week 2. Now,
Too right.
Okay, and finally rounding off to the late night match of the week, Coach SHG's The Twitch Gamers against iDojian's My Anime Figures, a 1-1 draw. Mr. Skulls, you were our appointed journalist at the match. What did you see there?
I was indeed, and let me tell you, this game was really messy, a real slobber knocker of a match. Stuns and KOs flying around, Coach SHG being 2 players down on turn 1. Started by Dojin trying to put a strong defense, but SHG managed to get the ball past him, and an ineffective scrum later he had to touchdown from mounting pressure instead of stalling for the first touchdown by the Vampire Northern Lion. following into the second half with just a slew of double skulls, failing dodges, failing going for it, lots of bloodlust going around, and ending with a crazy play from Coach Dojin that manages to tie up the game with a long ass pass into two going for it. The curse of the touchdown line does not activate, and he scores for the 1-1 tie.
Wow. Well, is that going to be your play of the week?
I have to say, that was a crazy play. The fact that it worked, the fact that so many things had to happen for it to go right, I think that would have to be the play of the week.
I was also watching this match, and I was screaming at my Cabalvision HD set because why did Coach SHG order the vampire to run? He was already winning, and he was in a strong defensive position holding the ball going into the final few minutes of the match, and yet he ran, and he slipped, and the ball was picked up by their designated thrower. Perhaps a bit of hubris on Coach SHG's side.
Indeed. The fact that he got the ball out of his own touchdown line is questionable at best. He had a strong defensive position, even if the vampire carrying it was pushed off, the ball would have scattered, perhaps not giving Dojin enough time or the space to score. But if that vampire ran and did not fall over, he would have been in a pretty good position. That would probably have meant that Coach Dojin could not tie up the game. So I see the vision, but it did not play as such, and so the result is 1-1.
Coach SHG was he had a bit of an explosive interview after the match. He gave all the credit to Coach Idojin for winning fairly, but he did say he heard some heckling in the crowd, perhaps giving instructions or advice to the other coach. Now, have any of you heard anything about this? Because it sounds like the ravings of a madman, someone who's very upset at losing.
I mean,
You know what,
in
No,
the
go
heat
ahead.
in the heat of a match, some people say things, some people just hear things.
Indeed. With
Whether or
the
not things were
blood in
said,
the
or
air.
whether or not people thought things were said, is anybody's guess.
Indeed, blood in the air, tensions run high, people can make mistakes, people can hear things that weren't said. Or what I say is that biz is biz and Blood Bowl is Blood Bowl at the end of the day.
And that's why we have you on the show, Mr. Skulls. Alright. Now, rounding up this, we've got to look forward to match week 2 is coming. Perhaps there could even be a match this very night after recording. Who knows? You didn't hear it from me. But first, we got to review what's coming up. So, Coach Capri will be facing Coach SHG. Vampires against Lizards. Leslie Flowers. Are you excited for this match?
Oh, absolutely. Again, two titans of the previous league going at it this early on. I'm interested to see where this one goes.
Mm-hmm. Who do you think's going to win, Mr. Skulls?
Well, I have to say, after seeing the vampires perform in this tonight, I have a bit more confidence in them. I think this game is going to be a lot closer than some people think. Even though the vampires are usually a low-tier team, I think the rule set of the Bico League will make it so that this match is going to have a lot of exciting moments.
Actually, that's such a good point. We forgot to define that because this is a very diverse league of all sorts of strengths. The certain races that make up the teams have different skill levels going in to perhaps try and add a bit more balance. Lizards are a very strong team and vampires are traditionally weak, but you're saying that this rule set might actually benefit the vampires going into week 2.
Indeed, at least for the first couple of games, I think the weaker teams are going to have some leeway for crazier plays that they would otherwise not be able to do. But I am excited to see what happens. I'm excited to see if Moron, the uh, Kraten's protege, will live up to his expectation, if he'll be able to fill in those shoes, and if the vampires of the gamers will be able to live up to their to what their stat line suggests they should be able to do.
I see. So, next after that will be Coach Sleepy against Coach Fox. Now, this is going to be a rough match. Coach Fox already having to face an incredibly experienced coach. Is now going into one of the other incredibly experienced coaches. To any of you, actually, let me ask you, Leslie, do you think Coach Fox has any chance of winning this match?
I certainly think it's possible.
What do you think he's going to be able to show?
I think what he's going to be able to show is a manner of flexibility. The Ogres are a very extreme team. From extremely strong to extremely weak. I think, should he play this with the flexibility needed to be strong where he needs to be strong and be flexible where he needs to be flexible, he could definitely pull this off.
Well, let's hope he can. Or at least try to. It'll be very entertaining for our subscribers. Now, Coach Maurice against Coach Idosian. This is going to be a bit of a barn burner, I think. Amazons against humans. Sort of a mirror match, but the women have a lot of dodging ability. But Coach Maurice loves to talk about the versatility, and in fact, apparently, according to him, humans require the most skill to coach of any team in all of Blood Bowl. Mr. Skulls, do you agree with that?
Now, I wouldn't go that far, Jim. I think that humans, even though they are usually touted as one of the best races, one of the most beginner-friendly races as far as coaching them goes, I don't think they're that difficult or that easy. Coach Maurice seems to have a bone to pick with his previous choices and his previous winnings, and he decided that he will go humans. I think that this match is going to be very technical. We'll see if Coach Maurice can put his money where his mouth is, if he can pilot the humans accordingly, if he can hit those fucking Amazons in the first place. Because, as we all know, they all have dodge, and if he doesn't roll those sixes, baby, it ain't happening.
Very true. Now, Coach Manlet will be facing Coach Doc WTF Underworld Denizens against Dark Elves. Sort of a battle of the Undercity. Leslie, how do you think this game's going to go?
It's hard to tell. As we've established, Doc, facing a crippling first match, is going to be going into this with a limp. It could very well cost him this match as well. Assuming Manlet plays it right.
I mean, Coach Manlet proved a lot in his last match. He definitely seems to be performing better.
That he is. It's showing marked improvement from previous seasons. This could very much end in his favour, yes.
Well, let's hope it does. And finally, to round up, Coach Leo with Bulging BBC 4 versus Coach Moon with his Chaos Dwarfs. Now, I think this is going to be a very physical game. Coach Leo always has a few tricks in his bag, and he's been playing better. But the Chaos Dwarfs, they're some tough sons of bitches, if you pardon my French. They can really dig deep and bash. But those Bretonians, they have a lot of honor. And they're willing to go, pardon the expression of the youth, but they're willing to go band for band physically. So I think this is going to be an incredibly bashy match. I don't expect many technical throws or runs. I think it's going to be a lot of caging up, a lot of physical play. Very exciting to watch. Coach Leo was voted last season as the most entertaining coach to watch. And that's a reputation he really takes in a stride and I think wants to keep up. So, gentlemen, are there any closing remarks before we finish out the show?
Well, I have to say, I don't want to say that this is a foregone conclusion. I think Coach Moon is going to win. However, previously people have called Coach Leo an SPP farm. And looking at his record, that may very well be true. But I think against Coach Moon's Chaos Dwarfs, this might be a little different. I don't think the Chaos Dwarfs are fast enough to take advantage of opportunity of the openings that Coach Leo sometimes leave. And Coach Leo has also demonstrated previously that he is now willing and able to make and take advantage of those crazy plays that he does. We may very well see a touchdown on his side due to a long pass or a crazy string of dodges that the Chaos Dwarfs simply cannot keep up with.
I see.
I would very much agree with this sentiment. Coach Leo showing he still has the craziness that made him renowned, but starting to temper that with some actual measure and well thought out plays. Also, not very much considered is Bretonia, very well renowned for their tackle heavy positionals. This could
absolutely.
be disastrous for such a block heavy team such as Chaos Dwarves.
This type of expert analysis is why we have you on the show. So, I'd just like to close out with some programming remarks. Next week's episode will be our prediction show. And then after that, perhaps in week 3 or 4, we can have some coaches from Bico League make guest appearances, get some interviews, send Mr. Skulls or Leslie Flowers out into the field for an interview or two. So there's plenty to stay tuned from here. With that, thank you to all of you, our listeners. It's goodbye from Leslie Flowers.
So long.
Goodbye from Mr. Skulls.
Stay frosty, ladies and gentlemen.
And goodbye from me. Happy bowling.